In Slavic mythology, chicken illustrates the particular example of how mythology and folklore blend, and chicken plays a very unusual and interesting role. It all goes back to this saint in Eastern Orthodox Christianity named Paraskeva. Saint Paraskeva already had attributes of a well established saint when she arrived to the countries that practice Slavic folklore and mythology. And her character started changing. She has gained a connection with certain attributes. Among them is the cultivation and protection of chicken. In some Eastern European countries, there is a custom of blessing chickens on St. Paraskeva's feast day, which falls on October 14th in the Gregorian calendar. The blessed chicken are then kept for a year, and their eggs are believed to have special protective properties. It is believed that St. Paraskeva's intercession can protect the chickens from diseases and bring a good harvest of eggs. This custom is particularly associated with Romania, where Saint Paraskeva is highly venerated and is known as Paracurul, or the chicken raiser. It is believed that Saint Paraskeva's blessing can help safeguard the health and well being of the chicken and ensure a bountiful yield of eggs, which is of great significance to poultry farmers. There is a very interesting and special case in Russia. Saint Paraskeva, upon her arrival, begins to be celebrated on Friday. And there she has this blending with an already established, well known Slavic goddess by the name of Mokosh. Though Mokosh could deserve an article in mythology all on her own, she was one of the few female deities mentioned by Vladimir in the early Russian history. But basically, you can think of her as having several attributes that you know from other mythologies for sure. She has some attributes of goddess Freya, some attributes of goddess Athena, a few of goddess Hera. But of course, she has her own peculiarity, and Paraskeva gains several of Mokosh's attributes. But moreover, she gains even new ones. She is a saint in her own right, and she becomes, in part through folkloric blending of what I call of folklore and mythology, meaning previously established mythological ideas and new folkloric rituals, she acquires other properties. She becomes associated with also the act of resurrection, healing, the knowledge of herbs, so all those things that you typically associate with healing. So for the first time, we see a kind of a spirit, first a saint, and now a new kind of a goddess based on a model of an old goddess that is associated with healing. But now we see that she already has these associations with chicken, so then she acquires the act of healing chicken on the one hand, but more interestingly, the act of protection of chicken or having to do with chicken in itself becomes associated with the act of healing, not just chicken, but healing in general, healing of crops or healing of people. And this association of chicken and healing keeps going on into the future. There was this collector of folklore by the name of Afanasiev who, thanks to him, we know all the good tales. He started first collecting those tales of the Baba Yaga and the Koshchei and the Domovo and the Kikimora, everything we know about, well, a lot of what we know about Slavic mythology that was still preserved into the 18th century was collected by him. He started studying seriously. So this guy, Afanasiev, a member of the academy, he establishes this concept that he saw in folklore also of a chicken god. And the chicken god is a type of a stone that serves as an apotropaic device. In other words, it is an amulet against evil, but in particular, it protects the chicken from the evil spirit Kikimora. And some of you might recall, if you remember your folklore, that the domovoi also carries certain properties of this kind, being a house spirit, a house brownie of the Slavic variety. He also can protect against the onslaught of the Kikimora. So now we have this again, this association. The idea is that being able to heal means that you will protect the chicken, but if you're associated with the chicken, it might mean that you are also able to heal. It works in both directions. And finally, we get to another couple of saints. One variation of them is the two brothers, Cosmas and Damian. They arrive again as established saints in Christianity, but then Eastern Orthodox Christianity slightly changes them, not through Christian ideas, but because in folklore they acquire additional associations. In Russia, Cosmos and Damien, the two different names, they become even blended into a single name of Cosma Demyan, which you might be able to hear phonetically is just virtually the blending of the two names and pronounced as a single entity. And they were already established as healers, as saints in Christianity, so we see how they have sometimes the staff of Asclepius, and when they arrive into Russia, they have those healing attributes preserved. Enough of the times, the clothes are just switched from Syriac to Greek to eventually Slavic, and then they have similar representation. Not much is changed, but the local clothes in their iconography. But in practical terms, in folklore, they receive a new kind, an additional kind of veneration, where now they are given into their guardianship the act of guardian chicken. And based on what was said earlier, you might now be able to guess what would happen with that. That means that now they are acquiring the reputation of absolute healers to the point where they now somewhat transcend the strict boundary of being able to heal. They even acquire additional powers that would usually be associated with the power of a god. The same person I mentioned before, the folklorist Afanasiev, also compares the chicken god being an amulet to protect the chicken to another protective attribute, such as the lightning of Thor. And in Slavic terms, we are free to assume that Thor, of course, would be the god Perun, but his attributes would still be pretty similar. He is a mighty, powerful god, physically imposing, and he has that lightning, and he uses that lightning to protect people. And his power of lightning is often ascribed to other saints, Eastern and Western alike, certain native local heroes. They acquire the power of lightning to smite. Thor himself was, of course, known for battling the Midgard serpent, and in a Russian fairy tale, oddly enough, the two healers that are not supposed to just be, they're supposed to be healers, they don't do that kind of thing, they're not war gods or anything, but in a fairy tale instead, they are able to smite a serpent as well with lightning, as if they were some kind of extension and representation of the god Thor or the god Perun, however you like it. They're probably similar for our purposes of mythology. So, again, this shows this transition. First, we have Saint Paraskeva, who is an established saint and eventually a healer. She is able to raise chickens, to cultivate them, to protect them, and to heal them, and she is able to heal people. But at the end, we have Cosmos and Damien being healers who acquire godlike powers and are also able to guard chicken. So, you will never see chicken in the same light again, will you?